They've got to be up there with some of the most...
Better than the ones... I've asked my pals for some. I said, right, listen, lads, I'm going on a podcast. Need some 3 facts about myself, and they give us about 40, and safe to say none of them have made the list, because it just can't happen.
Yeah, that's always the case.
Aye, yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. I don't even know what episode this is. I think we're around about episode 40, which is crazy to think. We've got a very, very special guest today. I think, when did I message you? Was that message you a few weeks ago?
Maybe a month
ago, and you were super busy.
Yeah, busy.
And then we've got you on in your very cool, would you call it a summer house?
Summer house, yeah. Summer house, aye.
Summer house. It's lovely. So yeah, Joe Kirkup, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, hello.
So what we do is we get you to introduce yourself to the viewers or the listeners.
Yeah.
If they're meeting you for the first time.
Yeah.
If you're meeting someone for the first time, so how would you introduce yourself?
Hiya, I'm Joe Kirkup. I'm 27 and I am the proudest Longtowner you'll ever meet.
Nice, short and sweet.
Yeah,
I like it. It's concise.
Aye.
So I prepped you as well.
Yeah.
And you've got them written down, haven't you?
Down in case I forget them.
So the 3 facts about yourself to break the ice. Let's go.
So fact number 1 is I have 2 dogs I love more than life itself and a tortoise. Fact 2, I've played rugby for 19 years. I've represented Scotland under 17s, 18s and 19s, and now a semi-professional player for Workington Town. And fact number 3, as well as being a butcher, I've been a firefighter for 9 years.
Yeah, they are interesting.
Yeah.
They've got to be up there with some of the most...
Better than the ones... I've asked my pals for some. I said, right, listen, lads, I'm going on a podcast. Need some 3 facts about myself, and they give us about 40, and safe to say none of them have made the list, because it just can't happen.
Yeah, that's always the case.
Aye, yeah.
So the first one was you got 2 dogs and a tortoise.
Yeah.
So have you always been like into pets? And
Yeah,
animals,
so
or?
growing up, always had dogs, family, pets. We had staffies when we were younger, and then my dad landed home with a spaniel because he got into shooting with his mate. And then obviously they passed away. Then we got 2 more dogs. We got, obviously the price of dogs is now have shot up, but we bought 2 staffy cross American bulldogs about, I don't know, 12 years ago for £200 each. But if we took 2, it was, got the second one half price. It was 300 quid for 2. And then we got them, brought them home. They were a bit, they were quite poorly all the time. So we took them to the vets, done loads of tests, and they were allergic to meat.
Really?
Yeah. So fit as a butcher's dog, was allergic to meat.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. Because obviously brother and sister, I think they were like inbred.
Yeah.
And then now I've got a Frenchie and an American bully who love them to bits. Frenchie's not well, she's got cancer, but we've had the tumours removed, and just crossed she's on the mend.
Yeah. I think pets are so like, they are like your best friends, aren't they?
100%. I've said it loads, I would rather if some of my family passed away, bother us as much as when my dogs die, just the way I am. Love them.
Yeah. It's like therapeutic, isn't it, I suppose?
If you locked them and somebody in a car for 24 hours, they'd still be happy to see your partner or anything, wouldn't be raging, would you, wouldn't they? So.
That's so true. And the tortoise as well. What made you get a tortoise?
Bored him years ago. He's 10. He's done now. Walked the same box for 10 years and just eats a lettuce and strawberries and calcium powder. Yeah, that's it. Get him out occasionally and look at him and then forget I've even got him out, because he just goes and tries to hide under, because they're like dark spaces, so he just tries to get under the couch. So then I'll jump up and go and I think, I've got Trev out.
What do you reckon they wake up and think, I'm looking forward to this today?
Here we go again.
And then the second fact was played rugby.
Yeah. So just played rugby all my life. Crap at football, still am really. Big lad. So my dad's pal, Mark, he played for Barra at the time. He had a motorbike accident and obviously had a bit more time in his hands and stuff. He had to finish with his injuries from the accident. Took us down to training to Carlisle under 8s and never looked back.
Nice.
Been all over. Loved it.
Yeah. Sports it's such an important thing, aren't they? Like when you're growing up, teamwork is such
I've got friends up and down the country. I've made my best pals through rugby.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm so glad I'm shite at footy.
Because I learned how to play rugby when I went to secondary school. Like, that's probably the only thing I learned from going to my secondary school, like year 7 to 11.
Yeah.
It's so different to football, though, isn't it? It is more like camaraderie and that kind of thing.
Like funny enough, last couple of seasons I've been manager of Longtown Football Club. I've finished now just with other commitments. And I kind of changed it the way it was. So try to bring a lot of like the outside of the rugby, like, so we go out to drink, we have fines in place, we have end of season trips. Like, I know a lot of clubs do that, but just we said, right, as long as we're competing and we're not getting hammered, as long as it's good crack. So if anyone ever wanted to sign, I'd say, like, I'd ask lads what's he like, and if they said, oh, he's a great player but he's shit crack, I'd say, like, well, it's probably no good to us, like. And I know that's not very good, but torture trying to knock about with lads who are shit crack in it. So,
that's interesting though. What made you want to do that managerial, especially in football?
Yeah, my pal done it, and I had nothing to do on a Sunday, really. So I was going up and helping out a little bit with him, and he said to us, because he was still playing, he said, do you fancy running it from the sideline for us? I says, yeah, I'll do my best, kind of thing. And then end of the season, he turned around and just said, like, I'm finishing. And I was like, oh. And then I just like, oh, well, I'll give it a go. It's a bit of crack, like. And then now there's another lad, when I wanted to finish, because obviously I play rugby on a Sunday now and not a Saturday. A lad Texas who played for us, Timo, he was coming to the end of his career, like, so he just said he'll take it on. I was like, it's the perfect timing.
Yeah.
Best luck. So I just finished at Christmas, had a big end of Christmas do, and then that was me. New year, like, new manager and that. And I still go and watch the games and that as and when I can, but just with having rugby on a Sunday, I was having to like leave at half time and then like fly through to Workington to play rugby, and I just wasn't focused on the rugby. So I was like more turning up and like
more committed. Yeah,
to it, especially with the opportunity I've got. So.
Oh, cool. And the third one was
firefighter for 9 years.
Firefighter. How did that come about?
So my dad was a firefighter when I was 10 years, and then just finished, just too busy with the shop. So when I was 18, wanted a bit more money. I actually applied to work on the railway, just because obviously I wasn't on the best of wages, didn't see the bigger picture working for a family business. And my dad says, why don't you just apply for the fire service and do that as well? So 18, applied, got in, and love it. Has its ups and downs, obviously, but yeah, love it.
That's so like random. So yeah.
Aye.
So did he just say you ought to apply for them? Why did he say that?
Just because he done it and he knows how it works. It's extra money. It's not easy money, but like you're on call all the time when you're at work. So it's not really a massive tie for me. Whereas obviously like firefighters who work out of town, if they're a joiner and they work away, they're on call on a night.
Okay.
So it's harder for them because they're then tied to the town for however many hours they commit to. I'm committed to, I only have to do 54 hours a week, which sounds, you're thinking like a full-time job, but you know, you're at work. I'm in Longtown more than 54 hours a week, so it's easy. And if I need to, I can book on a night to make my hours up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Gain some real life experiences through the
I was going to say, yeah, definitely. Doing a lot of growing up, I'd imagine, at 18.
Yeah. Went in, didn't really know how it worked. I didn't even know there was like a hydrant. Like, I didn't know a fire would pull water out of the ground. I just assumed there was enough water on the fire in. Turns out there's only enough for about 3. So, yeah, obviously it's I went to training. You have 2-week training. I had it down in Barra, actually.
We just talk about that before.
And you have a week doing like pumps and ladders, which is the water side of it and the ladder side of it, basically. So putting a ladder up, putting it down, going up, getting into a building safely on and off the ladder. And then like the water, so if you've got people inside a building, you're at the back of the pump, as we call it. That's like a fire engine. And you're making sure they've got water, because if they're in there, they have to, like, that's going to save their life. And then the second week's BA, breathing apparatus. So basically in a building, in your mask and your BA set on your back, and you just get taught to do the correct procedures, because obviously you can't see a thing when you're inside a fire. I went, obviously 18, thought, probably a bit too clever. First day, just wanted to come home. It was quite like being in the military. And I really didn't get on with the fella who took us. But that was probably down to me just being quite immature. If I seen him now, I would definitely get on.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, cool. So what did you want to be when you were growing up then? Like through school?
Fancy being I always wanted to be like a primary school teacher or a PE teacher.
Yeah. Why?
Love sports. And I don't know, I actually done when I went to William Howard, we got 2-week work experience.
Mm-hmm.
I done a week at the Longtown primary school, and I done a week at the auction mart in Longtown. Obviously, going on work experience to be a teacher and being a teacher is 2 different things. I enjoyed it, but my girlfriend now, she's a teacher and she sits every night doing paperwork,
marking.
And I just think I am so glad I am not a teacher.
Good holidays though.
Yeah, good holidays. That's a fair point. Plenty of time off. But no, I don't like computer. I don't like sitting behind a computer. Never have done. Don't really like paperwork if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
I think that's... Yeah. I obviously wanted to be a rugby player as well, but I realised at 14, 15 that I couldn't make. Just wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough. Wasn't committed enough. But basically, I know for a fact wasn't good.
Yeah. Because so then when you were 16 to 18, then what was the plan? Was it just literally leave school, get a job, or...
Went back to sixth form. I was all right at school. Done quite well, maths and everything like that. Not really into English. Struggle with words, but numbers. If I open a newspaper and if I have to do a Sudoku or a crossword, it'll be a Sudoku, just the numbers. Always get the brain working better than words.
Imagine there's pound signs in front of it.
Yeah. And I went to sixth form, and after 2 weeks, I got pulled in by the head of year, and she just basically said, it's a waste of your time being here and you're wasting our time being here, which was fair enough. I absolutely was, missing lessons, and you had, free periods, which it then got turned when we went to study periods. So if you weren't in a lesson, when we were in that school, the sixth formers just seemed to, doss about, sit on a bench, play football, whereas it now became, if you weren't in a lesson, you had to be in the study room. That just wasn't for me. So we got to the October half term at sixth form, scraped through, and for that week I worked in the Butchers. Got money, loved it, went back to sixth form, and a couple of days in I just thought, I'm wasting my time, I might as well go and try and make some money working for the family business. At least until it was probably wasn't the plan to be in there forever and where we are now, but so just decided, right, we'll just quit and go and work for my dad.
Had you ever thought that was an option? Is that what you wanted to do? Or
always worked a Saturday. Hated working Saturdays.
Why?
All your mates out dossing. They were out on Friday nights drinking, and I just knew I was in work the next day, so couldn't go and camp out with my mates on a Friday because I'd work on a Saturday morning. I would be allowed if it was something worth having it off for. Mum and Dad would say, yeah, no bother, you can have it off. It's not the end of the world, but can I go and camp in a field with all my mates drinking and be off tomorrow? They'd be like, no, yeah, this time, but after they wouldn't give us it 2 or 3 times, which my mates were just doing all the time. But I always had money on us, so some of my pals didn't have a job. Parents weren't that wealthy, so they couldn't get their income that way, so they just had to scrape by. Whereas I always earned a Saturday wage, seeing us through. On a Saturday night, we'd go to town after, not uptown, just shopping and that with the lads. We'd meet up at 3 o'clock and go to McDonald's and just kick about, and I always had money on us, so it was quite good that way. I was always quite good at saving, to be fair, as well. Kind of taught Mum and Dad, always kind of save your money, do your best to save.
Yeah. It's easy to make money, but it's hard to keep it, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a bad spending habit, things I don't need.
So then, what was the next thing? When you quit sixth form, then in the family business, you went into the fire service as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to the fire service, so that became that was about a year or maybe a year and a half into the business. I joined the fire service, and was it not really giving you what you wanted in the family business, or? I just maybe I like the heart rate going, the Butchers is exciting. It's it's good. I love it, but it wasn't giving us that, and I wasn't playing rugby at the time.
Okay.
I just stopped playing for a while. Wasn't so much fell out of love with it. Just I wasn't that bothered. I think everyone goes through that stage where probably at that similar age, that 18-year-old, where they're not really that bothered. They've done it all the youth, and then it comes to playing adult, and I just wasn't that bothered. So I didn't have anything really getting the heart rate going.
Yeah, because I suppose I probably gave up sport when I was 18 when I went to uni and stuff, and it's just Yeah, but other things that you spend time doing, like going out or spend time with your friends.
Yeah, because you're working and like it comes to a weekend and you've worked all week, can you be bothered to then, and obviously with rugby, you're always travelling around, even if just out West Cumbria, so it's a full, and probably because I was learning to drive, I didn't have a cat like at 17, you're a bit too, you don't want your mum and dad dropping you off for like open age rugby. It's a bit of a shan.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the end of the world at that age, isn't it?
Are you having a few pints after the game? Oh, well, I'll have to see if my mum will wait. Like, so yeah, and then obviously passed my tests and stuff like that. And I crashed my car coming home from a night out in Whitehaven. I was sober and I'd picked a few lads up that paid us 20 quid each, 80 quid. I thought, that'll do me. It won't cost us that in fuel. Yeah. Crashed on the way home. Cost us like $1,000 to get the car fixed. Dad said, you're not putting it through the insurance. And the coach at we had a butcher's at Silloth. We'd opened a shop at Silloth, and we were just like new into that. Mm. And a fella come in. The landlord was the captain of our shop. The landlord was the captain, and the coach came in and he introduced us and stuff. I said, and he owned a car garage. Mm. I said to him, I need my car fixed. He says, well, if you come and play rugby for us, I'll knock quite a chunk off your car getting fixed. And I thought, gift, that'll do me. So done that, went and played for them for Silloth and played there for 8 years.
Really?
And I've met it's where I met my girlfriend, met my best mates there. So as bad as it was, costing us $1,000, haven't done too badly out of it. The rugby club, and I've still involved now, help out with the coaching and stuff with my pal. He's the coach now. So aye, sports
sounds like such an important part of your life as well.
Aye, massively, yeah. And I can remember not playing, and it was like I just didn't enjoy it. And any sport, like I've played golf, squash, like not to a good standard by any means, but just love sport. I'm competitive at everything I do.
Yeah.
If you can do it in that time, I'll try and do it in that time. Obviously, to a degree. If obviously at the minute we'd work it and we're doing loads of fitness and stuff, and I know I can't compete with some of them lads. They're fit as fiddles and I'm not. So, but in my group, I'll always try and compete as hard as I can. If I know there's a chance of winning, I wouldn't let it be down to not wanting it enough.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
So then after Silloth then, during the time at Silloth,
yeah.
What were you kind of doing work-wise then? Were you getting more into the family business?
So you had
more responsibility?
Played rugby. I'd passed my test and everything like that. Mm. So I was actually going to Silloth a few days a week. Just on my own, not running the shop. There's a lad who works with Rob, has done since I was, 14. He's always been a part of it. And he's heavily involved in the business. So he was always the boss out there and he just directed us what I needed to do. And obviously go out there, do your jobs, and then back to Longtown. But I'd only work Monday to Friday so I could play rugby on a Saturday. Some Saturdays I'd have to work in the Silloth shop just for a few hours or something like that and then go down to rugby. And then in the fire service, when you join the fire service, you're not fully qualified or anything, and you do when I was in, it was at 9 month, you do assessment. At 15 month, 21 and 30 month, you do 4 assessments. So I was midway through that, really enjoying it. I'd been to some stuff that wasn't nice to see, so I'd done a lot of growing up, kind of had to. So the business started to change a little bit. I think the world's changed in the sense of back in the day, we're talking 30 years ago, the men would go to work, the women would stay at home.
Yep.
So when the man got in from work, his tea was on the table, and then the wife would clean up and he'd probably finish his jobs off or whatever like that. But now it doesn't work like that. The husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, they all go to work. So it was starting to see that people wanted easy teas, stuff that you can just put in the oven, rather than pound them in carrots, onions, and I'll make a nice thing, like a stew, like a minced casserole or anything like that. They just wanted something nice to go in the oven. So we started to see the change in that, more flavour and things rather than just basic. I wouldn't eat a pork chop now. I'd rather have a stir fry or something like that. Yeah. So looking at it from the customer point of view, we needed to try and get up to date with it.
Yeah. When was this, do you reckon? Roundabout?
We kind of changed it in for us in 2014, started to see roundabout then a massive difference. We decided your counter changed, so then you weren't putting the old fashioned meats out lamb on the bone, the lamb belly and stuff like that, because although your older people still like that, it's your younger generation that spend the more money. So you would have a small proportion of your counter assigned to that stuff, but like more fancy stuff over there, like your flavoured sausages and stuff like that. And then we, probably the biggest turning point for us in the business was Facebook. And I still think, especially now we've changed it slightly and stuff, but I think in the area, I think that's what we do the best, is we don't have to worry about getting people into the shop as such now. You're not just relying on your people in Longtown and Silloth at the time. They don't have to come in your shop and see what they want to buy. We were putting it on Facebook, like this pack. So big packs from like 100 quid to down to just items for individual things for like £4 or £5, different flavoured things. This pack, £5. If you want it, comment on it and how many you want and which shop. And that just like rocketed the business right up. So the hardest part for us is getting the people through the door. Once they're in, we do all right. Everything looks nice. It's all fresh. It's all priced accordingly. It's not too expensive. We're obviously, like, because we're in Longtown, it's not everyone hasn't got loads of money, so you can't price to sell out the market. People in posh, like, I don't know, Penrith, for instance, that area has a bit more money than Longtown, so they can maybe increase their prices, whereas we need to be selling more of it to try and generate that more money.
Yeah. What made you start doing that on Facebook then?
Rob, it was, funny enough, the lad, again, Rob that works for us, his sister started it and running it for us, but it wasn't working. We would have to send her the stuff to put it on, and then she would have to relay the messages. So we would just, as I say, cut the middleman out. Yeah, and it wasn't that she was profiting from it or anything. She was just helping Rob out. So I decided, I was like, right, I'll do that. And I remember putting the photos on, then thinking, that looks amazing, light in the background. And to now, I think, oh my God, it looks terrible. Like,
that's good though, you even proved it.
Yeah, and I sometimes look back at it and think, when did I think that appealing? And I did. And it must have, because it worked and it sold, but I just, it's changed loads. Like,
yeah, it's good that you've improved. Like, I even look back at my videos and I think, oh my God, that's horrendous.
Yeah. No, but like, that's just that progression as you want to improve. If you just sit stationary, it's
people catch up and overtake you.
Yeah, that's it. So, and then at Christmas time, that's obviously every butcher's busiest time of the year. People were, when I was first in the business with my dad and stuff like that, it was hectic. There wasn't much organisation, and I'm not organised, but there was just no organisation. You were having to guess massively what people wanted. So they would order like a whole turkey. So we'd have them guaranteed. We'd write the names on whose was whose. But then if they wanted like a boneless turkey breast, which we call a turkey crown, we had to guess at how many we'd sell. People would come in and order them, but it was just like heaps of paper. So they'd come in, they'd say the name, you'd have to ratch through all the sheets of paper. Oh, yeah, found it. And that could take 10 minutes to find this piece of paper.
That adds up, doesn't it, over time? Yeah.
And if you've got 100 customers, it's a lot of time,
Yeah.
So we put on Facebook like a Christmas pack. I think it was, at the time, obviously costs have gone up now. I think it was a £50 pack and a £100 pack. And obviously a cordon, £50 pack was for like 4 or 6 people, £100 pack was for more.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ordered it, you got a code. So for Longtown shop, it was L, have a number. And for Silloth, you got S and a number. Really easy. So when somebody come in, you'd say, yeah, what was it? S, whatever. Open the book. There it is. And not only that, we could go through and knew exactly how much sausage we needed, bacon we needed. So it cut down on your waste.
So good.
And as the years have gone, now the packs are just bread and butter. We know exactly how it works. Yeah, we know roughly to the point where when we put the packs on like a September, November time, we know where we need to be to hit where we were last year. We've got it in we've kept every diary and we put a line with a date. So every date we'll go in the book, check where we are, see if we're behind or see if we need to push it more on Facebook. And every year it just got busier and busier and busier.
Yeah. Why do you think other competitors weren't doing that then?
They maybe were.
Or why weren't they doing it as well as you?
I think your bigger butchers don't need to. They have huge customer base, huge staff, huge profits. But us as a smaller business, a lot of butchers, maybe if me and my brother and Rob weren't that younger generation driving it, we wouldn't do it because obviously my dad would just be stuck in his ways of doing things where we were like understanding, well, if we were coming into the shop, we wouldn't want to order the other thing as well, when you're ordering a turkey breast and pound of sausage, pound of bacon, you don't know how much it's going to be. You can have a guess, but at least when it was the pack, people knew when I go to the butcher's at Christmas, my pack is going to be 50 quid.
Yeah.
So they can put 50 quid aside. I know some people don't have to think like that, but a lot of our customers do. Whereas like, so they know if they've got 50 quid in their cupboard, they can put it in November and that is their Christmas meat covered.
Yeah.
But the reason people weren't doing it is they maybe just had a process that worked for them. Ours worked for us until when me and my brother needed, as we were getting older and we needed more money, we wanted to earn more money. So to earn more money, you had to generate more money. So whereas if you had a butcher's shop who people were happy with what they were earning, it's not that, it was just because we were getting older, we needed more money, better cars, going on holidays, better clothes, like stuff like that. Brother moved out. He moved to, well, he went travelling. He went travelling when he's been travelling like 3 or 4 times all over. Yeah. Whereas I've just always been here. So he needed, when he was coming home, he wanted more money so he could go back and stuff like that. So that's why it worked for us. And
I suppose it's so true though, isn't it? Like, I feel like our generation, if someone came to like, I don't know, cut your grass or something, if you said, oh, it's going to take 5 hours, potentially, maybe more, and you're going to charge you like £10 an hour. Yeah. You're thinking, oh, it might be 50, it might be 60, it might be 70. But if you say, oh, I'm going to come and cut it for 40 quid, you'd go to that every time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because you know where you're at then, even if it's, and then
people like to know how much things cost, like watches. Oh, yeah, that watch is 10 grand. Could I afford that? Oh, yeah, I can.
I think it's funny, like...
human psychology, isn't it?
I rent a house out, and if anything ever goes wrong, I'm always like, oh my God, no way. And then it's like, at the minute, the boiler's not really at work, and so the first thing I say to my mate is like, well, how much are we talking? And he's like, it's not that much. Yeah, but what's not much? Like, are we talking a tenner? Are we talking a new boiler's 2.5 grand? So it's not that. It's just 500 quid. Like, I don't know. I'm not a plumber, so give us a hint. Like, so yeah, it's not much. It's like, so if somebody says to me, well, how much is a steak? I'll always say, I'll always give them a price roughly because I hate being that person who doesn't know. Like, sitting there thinking, well, I don't know if I can afford.
Yeah, and at least if you tell them, then you can be like, oh, fuck.
It's going to be like 6 quid roughly. At least then they think, well, that's roughly where I need to be,
So then how did your dad find it when you were like coming in and giving him these new ideas and that kind of thing? Did he take to it really easily or not? Because I find it so fascinating when people go into family businesses and how it works.
Yeah,
so obviously, they've been running something really successful and then they're thinking, oh, what do they know kind of thing. I don't know. How did that work for you?
As much as me and my dad get on, we've had some absolute massive rows. And probably because I struggle to put my point. If I think something, I'm stubborn and I struggle to change my mind, like, and I know that. And everybody could be telling us it's a bad idea and I'd be like, it's not a bad idea. And it maybe is a bad idea. So my mum, she always calmed my dad down. And then they'd end up falling out, so me and him didn't fall out.
That's nice.
Yeah. Taking it for us, like, so it was hard to start with, to be fair, because he was stuck in his ways and I didn't like them ways. And not just me, my brother Billy and Rob again, we all wanted that transition to happen. And at the time, my dad was still heavily involved with the business and it was probably quite hard for him to take that step back. As much as every Christmas he used to say, I'm retiring at New Year. And then New Year's 2nd, 3rd of January, he'd come and he'd be back into work. And we're like, thought you were retiring? Nah, not yet. And it will have been hard. And I get that because he's built it up he started when my mum it was the 1st of May, 95. And I was born 25th of May, 95. And he started 24 days before I was born. So
it's his baby, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It must be hard to see us coming in and kind of like telling him things he's done for years are no good. But that's not because they're no good. It's just because things have changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we're younger. So like we can get with the times on your phone. Like my dad doesn't have Facebook or anything like that. So he couldn't do that. Whereas we're never off our phone. And the hardest part was him coming down from his office and catching me on my phone at work saying, you're always on that phone. I'm like, yeah, no, but I'm on the Facebook. Yeah. Like I wasn't most of the time. Like I was probably texting me pals or something like that, playing games or whatever.
He didn't know that.
He didn't know that. But that was the hardest part because he's like, if all the staff see you on your phone, what I can't not tell. Like, not that he's like like a slave driver or anything, but he doesn't want everybody at work sitting on the phone.
Yeah, I know.
And it was at the time where like phones were creeping in, and everybody always had like, it's obviously everybody has the phone on them now, but this was the time where it was just starting to creep in. So he didn't like that, and then we changed I'm still the only one with the control over the Facebook. So when I go away or anything, I still have to do that and put things on, but I don't mind that.
You having your own business though, isn't it? Kind of.
It is, and again, I like things done right. Not that I do it perfect, it's just that's the way I feel is right.
Yeah.
And if somebody else does something, I would just be looking to pull it to bits. Like that photo's not quality enough, like little bit of a splash on the side. I can't help it. So yeah.
You need that though, don't you?
Yeah, but it was a rough transition, to be fair. Now you've mentioned it, I've never really thought about it, to be fair, but because he was so heavily involved, we wanted to be heavily involved. But then we, at the time, we dealt with quite a few hotels and stuff of the transition. And we thought they were our bread and butter. We had to bend over backwards. If they wanted something on a Sunday, we had to go in on a Sunday. We had to deliver it. And that was one thing when you dealt with us, our service was always right. To the point where the person who was in charge of a chain that we dealt with started doing weddings and wanted hog roasts. And my dad said, like, we can't risk another butcher going in and doing hog roasts. We're going to have to buy a hog roast, like a hog roast machine. Start doing hog roasts, because if the butcher gets in, we could lose that trade and then we'd be knackered without them. So me, him and his pal went over to, I was off with I don't know, I broke something playing rugby. We went over to Newcastle and they were selling a machine. When we got there, it turns out they were selling a business. So they had everything, like the machine, the equipment. So we came away with, I think it was 3 hog roast machines, even though we only needed 1. And then we set up a business board hog roast. And it was purely and simply just to do them at this hotel for their weddings. But then we set up a business, and my dad's mate, Mark, he was just taking him, Mark, who actually got us into rugby. Yeah. He took him over because he had a van with a trailer and a tow bar. So Mark ended up saying, well, we'll go half as in the business. So they set it up. And before they know it, they were doing hog roasts all the time, like at weddings, like different hotels, because we thought, well, we've got it. And they've only got maybe 7 weddings a year. That leaves a lot of weekends free. We've got 3 machines, so we can go out and do them whenever. So we went out, put business cards about, set up a Facebook page, which my brother runs. That's what he runs. And just went out there. And now we actually don't have to advertise. We never, ever advertise a hog roast, because you don't have to, because somebody goes on Google and types in like Cumbrian hog roast. I don't know how many there is, but we're up there. We're border hog roast. And we just get loads of inquiries all the time, which is what my mum does. She does more of the paperwork, the bills, the finances.
Admin stuff, yeah.
So from there, people will come and saying, well, can you do full weddings for us, like sit down meals and stuff like that? So then we were like, well, yeah, we probably can. So we rented a unit out, bought a load more equipment. Like, I mean, my dad would buy anything. He once bought, and he still lies about it, but I've got his eBay set up to my phone, and he bidded on pommel horses, like the gymnastic pommel horses. No idea why. And he says to the day he doesn't. He must have just thought they were cheap. He has bought some pile of crap in his time. Like, some of it works out quite well, to be fair. Some of it, and my mum every time says, what are you buying that for? It's just going to end up in the bin. And she says to her, it's my money, I'll do what I want. So we set up a company called Border Catering.
Yeah.
And so that was more hog roast, as it is in the name. We've done hog roast and we've done barbecues. So for summer barbecues or something like that, you go to people's houses, and the catering was, well, as it says, you were catering for functions, bigger weddings, stuff like that, sit down meals. So we had staff, stuff like that. So that works. And also you're making more money than others, because we're getting the product in at a source, and then we're making it into what they want.
So they all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah, and so the transition for my dad then worked better, because he was fully focused on this, and he could be so involved in that he wasn't really bothered what was going on in the butchers, because we were doing that. So then my brother kind of found himself more involved with the catering and the hog roast, whereas I've got no interest in it at all. Like, I've maybe worked 10 since we've done it in 8 years, just not bothered about it. I've play rugby on a weekend, Saturday's my day off, so I don't want to then go in on the night to work a wedding. Whereas when my brother works a Saturday, he finishes work, loads of van, goes and does it, and he's finished, and his days off, he's still got his day off. So, and it wasn't so much, I know it's family business, you want your day off, but because I was playing rugby, and it was like, I loved it. I didn't want to change that till I said when I'm older, I might do it if I need to, when I'm not playing rugby and I maybe need more money or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, obviously in the business and that, me and my brother don't really have many fallout all the time, like fight like cat and dog. But at the end of the day, the butchers is more what I'm involved in, and the catering's more what he's involved in. So I never voice my opinion, which is hard to believe because I'm opinionated, in the catering side. Yeah. I just let them get on with it. If they ask for advice, I'd give it, but they never do because they know it'll be totally against what they think and it'll just cause a row. So, and then from there, that was going well and it was really busy. And then my dad's relative, I'd say maybe his cousin, I don't know, we don't really.
Some relation. Came
in and said that she's looking to get married, but she's wants it in like a different place, a bit of like a woody type. She was quite hippie-ish almost.
Mm.
And we were buying cattle from a farmer at Rockcliffe called Castletown Estates.
Mm.
And so my dad says, I actually know a bit perfect for you. I'll ask the farmer if it'd be all right if you got married there. Mm-hmm. So my dad went down, asked him, come back and basically set up a wedding venue at Castletown Woodland Weddings.
No.
Right? He was gonna, and then they put like teepees up and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a fixed structure. They have to take the teepees down every year.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get like planning permission and stuff on it. And that's how that came about, just a conversation like that. And she was the first person to get married there. Went to see the farmer. Well, Castletown Estates are massive. They're wealthy. They own loads of land around it. So they was like, that woodland they don't do anything with. Mm. So they just basically said to me, Dad, we'll be like half as in the business and we own the land and if you put the teepees and stuff on. So they done that. And again, my dad was driven towards that. He didn't have to worry about the butchers. And it was ideal for us because we had a free reign there. Like we didn't have to have him twining at us saying like, that's not going to work or anything like that. We could take that gamble ourselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now that's obviously COVID hit. There was no weddings.
Mm.
So they're just slowly but surely creeping back up now, the numbers each year.
Yeah.
And then from that, they do Castletown cabins. They build log cabins.
Yeah.
The people who built this, the lads who built it, come and worked for my dad. Yeah. And he started building like camp and pods and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where. So my dad's busy doing other stuff, and it's ideal. So he'll come in the business when we need him to. Mm. But he's far enough away that we don't have to
deal with him
all the time, so we don't fall out that often now.
That's so interesting. It sounds like it's just an idea or something someone needs, and then you just agree to it, and then you work it out, don't you?
Yeah. That's what happened. He come back one day and he said, I've bought some land. And my mum's like, you haven't? He's like, I have. She's like, well, we don't want it. He's like, too late. I've shook his hand. She went, well, what are you going to do with it? He's like, I'll worry about that when it comes to it. Like, yeah. And yeah, see what comes of that.
Yeah, just keep going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
I bet he can never switch off, can he?
Nah, not really. He's on holiday at the minute, to be fair. Yeah. And he'll be texting all the time. My mum's texting us asking how it's going and stuff like that. But we're not really bombarding them with messages because they don't get away that often. Mm-hmm. So even if something did go wrong, we just have to deal with it. They're in America. They're not going to be able to do anything.
Just fly back over.
So we just get on with it. But now it's gone wrong, to be fair. I wish they'd go away more and leave us with it.
They should enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So then you mentioned COVID. What was it like for you in COVID? Was it any changes or anything? And did you adapt?
So before COVID hit, a butcher's in Langham, which is like 12 mile away from us. He's a friend of my dad's. He had to finish. He had diabetes and he'd had both legs removed with his diabetes. I think it was from like round about the knee, still got like thighs and stuff like that. So he closed, and the few weeks after that, the amount of customers we had coming down from Langham was unbelievable, because past Langham is Hoyk, which is, it takes 40 minutes away. So, and then to get to Gretna, you kind of have to come to Longtown to go to Gretna. Mm-hmm. So we were picking up loads of trade, and my dad said and I'd said, oh, it's pretty good this, innit? Like, picked up loads of trade. And my dad says, yeah, but just take somebody to open a shop in Langham and you lose that. And at the time, do you know Bell's Fishmongers in Carlisle?
No, sure.
No, so they had a fish van, and their driver, he had a heart attack, I think, or something like that. And then their van became available. So it was like a van, and the side door, the side panel lifted up, and it had like a counter on it. So my dad says, well, we're looking at going to Langham, maybe just take the van rather than opening the shop and committing loads of money and time and stuff. We'll just take the van up. But we don't want to buy the van in case it doesn't work. So Tony, who owns it, is my dad's pal, he said, rent it off us. And if you buy it, whatever you pay rent, I'll knock off the amount. And if you don't buy it, I'll keep the rent. So it's fair enough. So we went up 2 days a week, a Tuesday and a Thursday at the time it was, and it was so busy, like really good. I went up and it was brilliant. And then we changed the days to a Tuesday, Friday, because a lot of people kept saying, there's a lot of people don't work a Friday in Langham. You'll get so much more trade. And I thought, well, it probably works better because on a Monday, they've still got stuff in the fridge from the weekend. On a Tuesday, they've got nothing left. So that's why I went up there. And then a Thursday, you're not given much time between from a Tuesday, are you? So a Friday, people come on a Friday, they're buying for a weekend. Yeah. So that worked like really well, and we built up a decent trade. And then COVID hit, and it just made us 3 or 4 times busier. Yeah. Like, couldn't get enough stock. Obviously, I only had the van, so I had to bring I had to leave the shop van at Langham and take a refrigerated van up. So I had to leave this big, clumsy van in a car park, and a few of the locals didn't like it and told us about it. I was like, but it's taxed and it's MOT'd and there's not a lot you can do about it. Like, I get it's not ideal, but it's a public car park. Yeah. Like, so that got sorted, and we were just so busy through COVID here. We were just busy. Everything, the customer count was like trebled because people weren't at work. They were at home. They wanted to cook. People learned to cook. They learned to juggle. They learned all kinds of things. Yeah. So it made us busier, and Langham was busy. Silloth was busy. But obviously at Silloth, in the summer holidays and stuff, we get busier there because of tourism. Go there.
Silloth Beach and that.
Yeah. So that changed, but we were just busy all the time. And then when we didn't go into lockdown, we just said to our staff, they were all more than happy to work right through, basically. Mm-hmm. So, and to be fair to our staff, they're brilliant. Mm-hmm. We've had some bad ones in the past, like bad ones, but I think we've had the same staff now for 5 years or something like that. And they're brilliant. Like, so yeah, COVID disappeared overnight.
Side, aren't we?
Yeah.
And distant memory.
And we actually like educated our customers through it. So we decided to say, well, we were open at 5 o'clock every night before COVID, which was a bit of a nightmare, like that 7 till 5 every night. We just said, right, we're going to close at 3 every day. Make sure you're in before then. COVID finished and people still just came in till 3 o'clock. So we've never changed our hours back. So we finish at 3 o'clock.
That's right.
Every day.
Yeah.
Apart from if you're busy, you have to work on, but people want home. People have got kids. My brother's wife's pregnant, so he's going to want to be home. Like most people that work for us have kids, so they can pick the kids up from school because they just go to school in Longtown. And it works fine for us as long as when you're there, you're pushing hard and working hard, and it worked. So after that, with Langham, the van was just going from strength to strength. Although a few premises came up, there was 2 of the butchers opened while we were up there. But the premises for us, none of the ones that were free were for us really. And so Langham's it's in half basically. You've got across the bridge where there's one shop, and that's where I was parked at this community centre, the Buccleuch Centre it's called. And the other side's where the high street is, and there's all the shops, but there's not many houses.
Yeah.
And this shop, I used to go in and to speak to Johnny, the older fella, and I went in and he says, I'm selling up. He says, selling the business. I was like, and he'd already done a deal with somebody. And I wish I knew.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd have said to you, like, he's like, well, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I didn't know. But I said, if it changes, if the circumstances change, let us know. And so that was on the Friday. On the Tuesday, he rang the butchers at Longtown and said, is Joe there? And my mum answered and said, he's on his way to Langham. He says, can you tell him to come and see us? So I went in and he says, right, look, the deal's fell through. It's yours if you want it. And I was like, right, no bother. And I said, right, well, how much do you want? And stuff like that. And he gave us the price that he'd already agreed with somebody. And I was like, oh, I'm not paying that much. Like, I didn't think it was worth it. It's a lot of money. And he said, but that's what I was offered. I was like, but they haven't paid it.
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah. So it took we went backwards and forwards for about 6 weeks. He knew we wanted it and we knew he wanted out.
Yeah.
So one day, my dad said, go up, give him an offer and tell him we need to know.
Yeah.
So I went into his shop and just says, right, there's the offer. That was at 11:15 because I operated 11 till 1 at Langham. I'll come back at 1:05 and I want your answer. It's yes or no. No counter offer. That is all we're willing to. That's our and he done all right of it, to be fair. It was a lot more than we wanted to pay. Went back and he says, yeah, let's do it. But because we'd bought all his stock and it was a convenience shop that sold like women's tights to Lucozade Sport, like I mean, everything you can think of was in this shop. So I said, because we bought all the stock, I says, well, we want in next Friday because the longer you're in,
it's going to get out of date, yeah.
It's going to and dwindle down. You can sell it all, it's less. So yeah, the Friday came, we done the deal. That was before Christmas, just gone. And everyone's like, oh, you're going to be in for Christmas? I was like, we can't be in for Christmas because it's our busiest time. The staff were taken on. We actually took the 2 staff he had working for him, 2 women. They work for us now. And they're brilliant. And I said, they're not going to know enough. It'll be too much pressure on me, being on my own, having a full shop at Christmas with 2 people who just don't know because they've never worked in a butcher's before.
Yeah.
So we opened it. We've just today finished our 6th week and it's absolutely manic.
Yeah.
Sell out of things all the time, which is bad because you're letting people down, but just unbelievable. Like,
it's a good problem to have, though.
It is. And at the end of the day, when I was at the van, I hated selling out because if I sold out, I had to wait until the 3 days later. Whereas at Langham, the next day they can come in the butchers and we're open, obviously apart from a weekend and stuff like that. So yeah. And one of the problems at the van was I fractured my elbow and dislocated my wrist and I couldn't lift the generator on and off the van. So I then just had to operate with the refrigerated van with orders only for 6 weeks, which was a bit of a nightmare because a lot of people just turned up on the day wanting stuff. So I had to take a few loose items on this refrigerated van, but it was just an absolute bit of a nightmare. And from me doing my wrist in September, we never took the big van back up, which is because we just operated with the refrigerated van
on orders.
And then it was busy enough with that. And then we got the shop and then we said there's no point bringing the big van back up now. So we've got a big van for sale if anyone wants one.
I have lots of technical difficulties on this podcast. Right, so then, so you've just taken over the Langham shop 6 weeks?
6 weeks,
yeah. So then what's next for all the shops? So you've got Langham, Silloth and Longtown.
Langham, Silloth, Longtown, and then obviously...
What's the plans? For all the businesses, really? What have we got in mind? Because obviously you deal mainly with the butchers.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just new into this, so if we keep going the way we're going, if we could get, although the staff we have are brilliant, if we could get more staff that were brilliant, we could open more shops. But you can't. They're really hard. If you put an advert out for applying like a job application and people are just like, I don't really want to cut meat and stuff like that. I don't really want to look at dead pigs. And you're like, it's not like that. That's them days are gone. You don't have to do that. That's what we do. Like, we just need you to serve it. And like I say, the 2 women we took on at Langham, they're brilliant. 6 weeks and I can leave them with a shop for the day.
Yeah.
Go up, set the counter, come back to Longtown. Because I'm obviously on the fire service, I have to be in Longtown so many days, like through the working day. So when that was a really, one of the difficult parts was if I was up there more, I would have to quit the fire service, which your family business has to come first. But I didn't really want to, because I don't, as long as the boss doesn't hear this, I would do the fire service for now. Like, I just think you're there protecting your community. We've done some really good stuff in our time. Very little bad stuff. I wouldn't know. People love the fire service. They, if a policeman or policewoman knocked at your door and says, "Can I come in your house?" You're going to say no chance. Just to look around, you're not coming in. If a firefighter knocks at your door, you're going to welcome them and offer them a cup of coffee. Because just the way they are. If a fire engine goes past kids, the wave, police go past kids, stick their fingers up at them. It's just, so yeah, I loved, and walking around the town, highly of you. Got to upkeep that reputation and respect of people, because at the end of the day, there's people in the town you dislike, but if they're in trouble, you're going to risk your life to save them. Can't change that. Like, I've had that pressure a few times. What would you do? You're like, well, you're going to do your job. You're going to be professional about it and do your absolute best and try and help them. But the fire service, obviously, we're playing for Workington now. We train on a Tuesday and a Thursday and occasionally Saturdays for rugby. Just depend if we have a game on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But with my fire training, we train on a Tuesday as well. So we've a bit of a stumbling block in it, like, because I've got my fire boss saying, "You're not at fire practice tonight. Why aren't you there again?" And then I've got my rugby coach saying, "I need you as often as I can." And although they both get it, they both couldn't be better for me. They both like understand it all. They both want me there as often as possible.
Yeah.
Whilst running a family business, it's quite a lot
going on.
It is, and it's just that one night. So my boss off the fire, we have on the station, you have a watch manager and he runs the station, or she. Some stations will have a female, we don't. But Kevin's just done 47 years, he's just retired. So the new process, when this probably podcast goes out, we'll know who our new watch manager is, but at the moment we don't. So until that new watch manager's in, things will stay as they are. But one thing I'm going to try and ask for is like to change the drill night from a Tuesday to a Wednesday. Or even there's 12 of us on the station, can we split 6 and 6? And that would work better for me. And it might work better for other people. And if I can do that, I can carry on doing everything I want to do. But at the minute, I'm having to go to train with Brampton on a Monday night, some Mondays. So I've got like there on a Monday, then I'm rugby on a Tuesday, then rugby on a Thursday, and then away on a Sunday, wherever you are. Like, so you're away from home quite a lot. And although it's all right, girlfriend who wants you at home, you've got a family, you just want to have your own time chilling and walking your dogs, and
it's relaxing. Yeah.
But the one thing with the fire service, I play rugby for the England Fire Service as well.
Oh, cool.
Just went down to the trial. We got a letter in the weekly update. If anybody wants a rugby trial, get in touch. So I thought, got now to lose, I won't be good enough, but here we go. Went down with 4 of us from Cumbria. Dan Rich from Penrith, Jamie McNaughton, he actually works at Barrow BAE system, like the submarine base. He's a firefighter on there. And Ryan Johnson, we went for a trial. Ryan Johnson was the only one who didn't get in. He sadly passed away. So I got in and I just thought I'd be a squad member. First game, we were playing the police masters. So like the older police, not the best police team. And we were playing them at Doncaster, and the rest of the games were south, and this was the furthest north. And I thought, I really want picked for the first one. And they sent the squad out. All the other lads were in it, apart from me. And I was like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
As long as I get the T-shirt at the end, I'm not bothered. And then a week to go before the game, I got a phone call saying, one of the lads has dropped out. Can you come down as a travel reserve? Because they named the team, the bench, travel reserves. And I was like, I really don't want to travel all that way, especially on a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday to be a reserve.
Yeah.
But I thought, you've got to show you're committed.
Yeah.
You've got to be keen.
Team play, squad play kind of thing.
Yeah, no problem, I'll come down. On the Saturday, the lad who plays in my position got injured and they said, you're now starting. And I thought, I'm so glad I said I'd come. Went down, scored. And since then, every game I've played, I think I've done maybe 7 or 8 games for them. I've played every minute of every game, apart from when I've been sin-binned. So I got sin-binned once. And whenever I've played, we've never been beat. Not down to me, but we've got a really good team. And I got picked for the GB fire team, but I broke my arm, so I couldn't play.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame, but it'll come around again. And in April, we're going to Cyprus to play.
Oh, that's sick, yeah.
Can't wait. So some of the lads aren't going, and I don't get that. They've maybe got families and stuff like that, or can't get off work, but I just read the text, who is available to travel to Cyprus? And I'm like, me. Like, not. And they said, what position? I'm not bothered. I'll
be travel reserve.
Travel reserve, that'll do me. I'll carry the kicking cone on. I am going to Cyprus to play rugby. So that's all booked and can't wait, like. But, and luckily, Workington haven't got a game that weekend. Because if they did, I wouldn't be allowed to go. So I had to run it by the general manager of the club. I think that's his role. That's the name of it anyway. I just said, look, Gary, big opportunity, kind of want to go. And he just says, get yourself away, pal. Because it's an honorary thing, they're not allowed to stop you. So it's a bit like on a higher level, Man United can't stop any player playing for England. They maybe don't want them to go, they may be carrying a bit of a knock. But if that player has been picked and wants to play, they can't really stop them, can they? Because you're just going to say, well, you're stopping us doing something. So it's a bit like that. So I have missed a few games. Last year, I went on trial at Workington, and we had a game on the Wednesday for the fire service, but we also had a game on the weekend for Workington. And at the time, I went for trial at Workington thinking I'd get nowhere near the team or anything like that. I actually had the conversation with the coach at the time. I went to watch them, and he said to us at training the next week, "How did you find it?" I said, "Honestly, I am nowhere near that standard of a player. Like, it's fast, physical. That's not me." Like, and he went, "Yeah." He says, "You're more here for trial for next year. Like, we're looking for next season." And I was like, brilliant. On the Thursday, he named the team to play Sheffield away, and I was in it. And I was like, "Chris, can you not remember that conversation we had? I'm not good enough." But they hadn't signed me on in time, so I couldn't play that game.
Okay.
And then after that, I went and made my debut against London Broncos. First story was, so I phoned Chris after the London Broncos game. We played Dewsbury at home, and I said, "Look, Chris, I've got a game thing on fire service on Wednesday, and I really want to play it. But if I'm picked on the weekend, I won't play because I don't want to risk getting injured." But I gather when we went down to London, we were short of men. The club went through a few finance difficulties and stuff like that. A few players left and that. So I said, "I get where we are, but if you could just give us the heads up, I'd really appreciate it." He says, "Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you're in my team on Sunday." So I says, "No bother. I'm not available for the fire service." And I told him, and the fire service kind of understood that. I want to try and play as many semi-pro, like professional games as I can, like in the championship. Because at this point, we knew we were relegated. There's only 5 games left. So for me to play London and then Dewsbury, that meant like I've got a good sniff at the next few games as well. So I can try and get as many games in as possible. Played Dewsbury and then went down to Featherstone, which to you, not a rugby player, that's like tough place to go. And we got beat 54-16, I think it was. And I scored. And it's on, there's a video of it, and the commentator, like my mate Tom Posh, puts us through a gap, and the commentator goes, "And scorer is Joe," and there's a massive pause. He goes, "Kirkup." It was if like he turned around to the sheet and went, "Joe, are you fucking sure it's him?" Kirkup. So it was one of them. Yeah, so went down to Featherstone, played them.
Scored. The commentator was
Scored.
like, "Who the fuck's this?"
Yeah, who the fuck's this fella? Loads of drink on the way home. And I had to do my initiation, just sing a song. Some clubs I've been at, the amateur sides, were sat like the initiations are horrible. Can't be told on here.
Yeah.
But I think in the news years ago, somebody had like, rugby initiations had got like a bad rap. Like, I think somebody had like kicked a glass bottle up someone's ass, something like that, like, and proper like hurt, like, it was awful. And like, so after that, some of them kind of said quiet down. So like maybe we'd work it and been a professional thing. They didn't want that. So you just have to sing a song in front of the lads, which doesn't bother me. I would do it sober. Like if there's 1,000 people out there, sing a song with them. No karaoke, no bother.
What did you sing?
Jamie Webster, Weekend in Paradise.
Yeah. Nice.
And then who else did we play? Oh, then we played Whitehaven the week after, and that's when I broke my arm.
Oh, you couldn't play.
And then I couldn't, I was only on about 4 minutes, about 30 or 40 mates, family, everyone stood full of drink, cheering us on. I was back off in 5 minutes. Shan. And the thing that bothered us the most was when you're sitting next to the coach, who was the coach at the time, he used to hate if you were soft. And all I could think is, I've been on 5 minutes, I don't want him to think I'm soft. And I can remember sitting with him and I was like, "You don't think I'm soft, do you?" He's like, "No, my arm's knackered." So I was like, "Gift." So then I was, like I say, in a cast. And now Chris left, he went to Newcastle Thunder, and we've got Anthony Murray in at Workington. A few lads left, a few have went to Whitehaven and elsewhere, and York, new coach, loads of new lads, but it's good, enjoying it. And we play this week, we play Doncaster in the Cup away, and I can say this because it won't be out, I'm in the team, so
oh nice.
Played first game of the year was London Scholars away, and after scored 2, came off, and the drugs testers were there, which is new to me coming from amateur. I don't take drugs, never have. Just got an addictive personality. I'd end up on the streets, I think. So I says, "Well, what happens now?" And the fella was sound, to be fair. He says, "Basically, I can't let you out my site, otherwise it's failed to give a sample." I was like, "Yeah, no bother." I said, "I actually need a pee." But during the game, I had a drink and the water was horrible. So I didn't have any drinks through the game, so I probably dehydrated myself. Went in, coach give the team talk, we sung our song, and he says, right, give us that. So I said, went in, pee test, me and my pal, you have to sign all these. It was way more, it wasn't just a case of peeing in the pot and going. You had to pick the pot, you had to pick the lid, you had to sign it all, you had to tell them what you'd taken in the last 2 weeks, proteins, creatine, anything like that.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I don't think, just protein, wrote it all down. So I says, right, we'll go for a pee. So stood, and he has to watch you like pee in the pot, not turn your back, I'll trust you. It's like, I'm watching you pee in this pot. So I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and I'm a bit shan. Pee in the pot. And I said, there you go, pal. And he looked and he went, yeah, that's 60 mil, we need 90. And I was like, right. He said, so we went through, sealed it, signed it. And I said, what happens now? He went, we sit and wait until you pee another 30 mil. And I was like, I've just emptied the tank. That's all I've got. He says, you've got to pee 90 mil. I was like, right, no bother. So there's two of their lads, me and my pal, and we were cracking away and I knocked about 4 bottles of water into myself. And I turned around and said, here, mate, I need a poo. And he was like, no bother. I says, what happens now? He says, I'm going to come and sit in the cubicle with you while you poo. And I was like, mate. So
these are actually drug tested people.
I said, I hope you're on loads of money for this.
Yeah.
I sat in the cubicle while he watched us poo, and he watched us wipe and everything, man.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, this is horrendous. And while I was pooing, I peed enough. So that was me out of there, like. But then I got on the bus back from London, just needed to pee. And like peeing on a bus is just hard enough, never mind doing it 10 times. But yeah, so that's an experience in its own. Like,
I'm sorry.
But yeah, because it's professional sport. Like, you just, and I said to them, like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not bothered about the drugs, but there's a lot of banned substances you don't know about. So in a lemsip, there's something in a lemsip that I was told that day that you can't have because there's something in it that's a banned product.
Really?
And I was like, well, I don't take lemsips, but
imagine if you did, you'd be ill.
Yeah. Do you know, like, I don't know what it is, but there's stuff in it, and then there's certain like type of seeds and that you can't eat, which again,
you'd never think of it.
I didn't think that, but so I've had a little bit of education on it now off the club, just to know where I'm at.
Yeah, I suppose it's down to them, isn't it, to educate you, like you say?
Yeah,
it wouldn't be.
I wouldn't know. So obviously, and again, I didn't know this, but a banner, if you test positive for stuff at training, is different to testing positive at game day. Because at training, you might not have actually competed whilst having that in you. You were just training.
Oh, right.
So it's totally different. But obviously mine was game day, and it's been 3 weeks now. And they said if you haven't heard back in 4 weeks, it's good news.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you if you've passed. They just don't get in touch with you. And I was like, I'd rather know. Like,
it's worse not knowing, isn't it? That's the worst part of it.
I mean, the last week now, and everyone's like, well, what have you got to worry about? I was like, well, nothing, but you still would. It's like if you're driving down the road and a police officer, you slow down and think, I swear down, I'm not guilty here. But you
everything
you feel guilty. Like, was I speeding? Have I got my seatbelt on? Was I on the phone? Like, you don't know where. Like, so aye.
That's bad. So then, what's next for the business and what's next for the rugby then? Coming up in the future,
the rugby first, I think. Try and get as many games this year as I can. My wrist still hurts every day, so and it does affect work. So I'd like to see a change in that. If I'm honest. They were happy when they popped it back in, that it was good, but I think the ligaments and stuff around it are pretty damaged. So I hope they heal and I'm only 27 at the minute, so if I can get, 4 or 5 years at Workington, I'd be more than happy. Try and get them back into championship, play at championship, and just see what happens. Business, just keep progressing forward every day. Obviously, my brother, him and his wife are expecting a child very soon. So he'll have his priorities elsewhere for a while, I imagine. So it might mean the rest of us having to pick up some slack just because, he's had a kid, the new generation. So we'll have to think for that now, won't we? Like, not just me and Billy now. He's got a kid that'll be probably taking on some sort of the business eventually. And if I have kids in the future, we'll be the same then. But yeah.
What would you tell your younger self, maybe when you were 18, 19, coming into business, if you knew what you did now? What would you say to yourself?
I think back yourself, trust, just go with it. Like, luckily for us, if products don't work, you're not too heavily invested in it. You know what I mean? You're not having to spend too much money and stuff. So just like stick with the times, keep with the times all the time, and maybe cut everyone a bit more slack. I've give some, like, mum, dad, and my brother, I argued with them for years. Like, maybe just relax a little bit with it all there.
Cool. And then biggest mistake or biggest regret in your personal business life? Have you got any?
Yeah, not really. Like,
or anything you look back at?
I had a ticket to Australia booked, me and my pal, when I was like 18 or something. Maybe wish I'd went a little bit just to see it. I've got a mate over there at the minute, Ross, and a lad who worked for us, Billy. It was awkward. There was Billy who worked for us, Billy, my brother, and Billy, my dad all worked. So you've shouted Billy everywhere. Yeah, what? Torture. And it looks good. And the rugby and stuff over there. I'd like to have done that, but it doesn't bug us that I haven't. At no point have I really had the opportunity to think now's the time to do it. And I was probably just running away then, just thinking, I just want away. Everyone seems to go, Australia, I'm sick of you. And business, I actually didn't say. We opened a shop in Ulster for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And although it wasn't me, it was more, again, my dad. It was at the time where he was still heavily involved. It didn't work.
Why?
It was too far, and it was too far. The roads were always closed, so you'd have to drive to it's a good hour and a bit to Ulster.
Yeah, it's miles out.
Yeah, and it was snowed. It didn't just snow there, like blizzards. So looking back, the person who owned it, I can't remember his name. He was a firefighter and he died on the golf course. So again, my dad was like, we'll go there. It's like a small place, nobody around it, we'll do well. But it was just too far. So looking back, we probably shouldn't have done that, but you'd never have known. And we didn't lose money at it, to be fair. But you'd always have thought, imagine if we went there, would we have been busier? So I'm like that. I know it's very stereotypical, have no regrets and that, but I actually don't. Even when I crashed my car, looking back, could have saved myself £1,000, but I wouldn't have for 5 of my best mates. I wouldn't have my girlfriend. I wouldn't have the life I've got now. Where would I be at? Do you know what I mean? Would I have fell in love with rugby again?
Yeah, because you weren't even playing rugby at the time.
No, I wasn't playing rugby, so I fell in love with playing for Silith, and then from there went on to play for Glass and Rangers and amateur side. But would I have done that?
No. Everything happens for a reason.
It does, and I know it's
always works itself out.
Everyone says
Cliche,
that, but it does happen for a reason. I know, and like you say, you listen to people and these motivational stuff occasionally, and everything happens for a reason. Have no regrets, but I just think it is the best way to
life.
If stuff happens, I had a car and the engine seized on it and lost 10 grand at the car in the space of a year. But that week or two, a friend of mine texted us saying she was terminally ill with cancer. And everyone's like, I bet you're gutted about your car. I was like, I'm not that bothered, really. No. My mate's got cancer and she's not well, so that's worse. Isn't it? Money comes and goes. Yeah,
you can always get money back. You can't get time back with your friend or whatever.
Yeah, so I don't think I've got any regrets. I maybe wish I'd stuck at rugby. If I'd got myself fitter sooner and stuck at rugby, I could already have had 4 or 5 years at Workington, but I didn't. Yeah. But then
maybe you wouldn't appreciate it as much as you do now.
Yeah, but then the last 5 years of the amateur I've played, I would have none of them memories. And they're some stories, holidays, end of season trips and all that. And that's what makes means more to me.
Memories.
But now I'm pushing on with the rugby. I want to try and give it a good crack. Now I've got that opportunity.
Yeah, defo. Do you want to plug anything? The business, the rugby?
No, but if you can follow Kirkup Butchers on Facebook, we have an Instagram page, but over time, Instagram doesn't really generate us money. I know it generates people money, but it's not really, it doesn't work for us. Facebook us, that's what gets people in our door, and that's what matters. The Border Hog Roast, Border Catering, and Workington Town. Longtown Fire Station have a Facebook that gets followers, that gets the word about. That's it, really. Yeah. Longtown Football Club.
Yeah, lots of plugs there.
Lots of plugs, I get them plugged.
I've enjoyed that. Has it been good, yeah?
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
Right, so if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment your favourite part. If you've got any questions for Joe, leave them in the comment section below. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review. And we'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.